When I was a teenager, I had no idea that this would be me one day, and actually went into, first of all, studying animal physiology and understanding how animals move. And as a result of the questions I was asking and the things that I got interested about, it all boiled down to understanding muscles and seeing that actually the muscles that we have are the same to many animals, or mammals. So if we think about cheetah, if we think about those wild animals, or cats, dogs, the pets around us, as well as ourselves, the basic structures that enable us to move are pretty much exactly the same, and I found that really fascinating, and by following that path, that's where I've kind of found myself today. My name's Emma Hodson-Toll. I'm a reader in neuromusculoskeletal integration at Manchester Metropolitan University. My main field of research is skeletal muscle structure and function, so trying to understand how the muscles that help us move actually work to do that job. Muscles can move in different ways, and that we think about that in terms of different contraction types. So we can have isometric contractions where they stay the same length, but they're still producing force, and we think about those in terms of the muscle acting to kind of stabilise the joint. We can have concentric contractions where the muscles actually get smaller, so they shorten and they bulge, and by doing that they can actually move the skeleton. So we'll see, for example, the biceps will shorten as the elbow flexes. And we can also see eccentric contractions where the muscles are still producing force, but they're being stretched by some external load. So for example, when your foot hits the ground, your body mass sinks, and the muscles in your thighs will stretch to try and slow that sinking. So they're kind of stabilising the body and enabling you to be ready for the next step. Muscles also have different types of fibre in them. So these fibre types we can think of as being slow. So they contract quite slowly, but these fibres are really good because they're fatigue resistant. So that means they can keep working for very long periods of time. And we typically think of these fibres as being involved with maintaining posture, maintaining balance, those sort of low-level things that we have to do all of the time. We then have faster fibre types, and these fibre types, as the name suggests, can contract much more quickly. The challenge with these is that they also fatigue more quickly. But for everyday movements, we probably have a mix of these fibres working together as you need to complete the different demands related to different activities, like climbing stairs or negotiating different terrain or moving more quickly or more slowly depending on what you're doing. By understanding how the muscles change as a result of ageing or disease, we can better detect changes that can help diagnose and monitor what's happening with MND. Because in MND what we see is the muscles get smaller and they get weaker, and that means people are not able to complete activities that we take for granted every single day. So typically when we study muscle, we study the electrical signals that come from the nervous system and activate those muscle fibres. And I had a really significant moment a few years ago where we realised that the results of those signals could be captured with the ultrasound imaging. So not only can we record the nervous system commands to the muscle, we can also see the response of the muscle tissue to those commands. And that was really exciting because it opens up a whole new range of questions that we can start answering. And in particular, it also means that we can it's opened the doors for us to have new ways in which we can monitor the changes in the muscle that are happening with motor neurone disease. That discovery or that finding really led us to start working in the area of MND, because we realised that we could develop tools that would be useful for clinicians and also useful for wider studying of the disease. So we've had a stream of projects, some supported by the MND Association, which have enabled us to start refining those techniques so that they can be available for people to use more widely. And it's also opened up another range of questions just about understanding things like how the muscle fibres work together as groups, which is a sort of a whole new area of understanding structure and function in the muscles, which, although they're what we call sort of fundamental science questions, they don't have a direct application. We need to understand these things to then inform better applications, better interventions that ultimately will help in the clinical world. The best thing about my work and my research is that it involves working with people. So I don't wear a lab coat, I don't go into a lab, and a lab in the sense of you might expect with, you know, test tubes or Petri dishes or things like that. My experiments are with the people, and that means I get to meet a wide range of really interesting people, which is, I've heard some, you know, fascinating stories. You get to speak to all sorts. Because my work involves lots of different types of science and engineering coming together to try and answer the questions, I also work with a really wide range of different people, again from lots of different backgrounds, who all bring different perspectives and different ideas to the kind of melting pot as we're trying to solve these questions, which again is really, really rewarding. My hopes in the future with relation to MND is obviously that overall we can find a cure for this disease, or even better, we can prevent it happening at all. But I think that's a really long-term ambition, and that's not a thing that I can directly contribute to. But what my work can do is help understand the changes that are happening in the muscle, and through that support things like clinical trials to test the drugs that are going to delay the progress of the disease or prevent it progressing, stop it in its tracks. So I see the tools that we're developing, and my hopes are that they will become widely used by clinicians, that they will support patients on their journey as they're finding out what's happening to them, and, as I said, yeah, contribute to being able to treat this disease and in the first instance stop it being as debilitating as it is.